Hi,
Hi,
we are
Hello.
Emilia Nene,
and Silviana Carter,
the founders of Feel and Grow Rich project and the authors of the upcoming book called Feel and Grow Rich.
It is a great honor to introduce you to
Josevie
Jackson,
a multi-million dollar producer,
the author of Thrive and Be Somebody, 11 Steps to Manage Your Life's Obstacles with Confidence and the Small Business Survival Guide,
an international business coach and speaker,
and the president and CEO at Blackcardbooks, which is an international publishing company and is founded by Mr. Gerry Robert. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
would
you
you
for
like to
having
tell
me.
us? Would you like to tell us a little bit about your work?
Well, you said everything. So I'll tell you a little bit about me, my background, how I got to be where I am today. And I started my life journey as an entrepreneur at age 20. The reason that I started my life journey as an entrepreneur is because I had children as a teenager. I was a teenage parent. And you know, the success rate for teenage parents is not very high. At least it wasn't at the time when I had my children. Nowadays, it's different. But back then, the success rate was not very high. All of my plans to attend college at that time were just gone down the drain. And the only way that I could see that I could create a life for our family is for my husband and I to become entrepreneurs. And so I actually opened up my first business by myself while he was working at a car dealership. I bought a desk at a thrift shop for like $10. I moved everything out of my living room and I created a small office. My husband came home and laughed and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I started my own business." And so that was that was my first journey as an entrepreneur. And I've had so many different businesses. I've had some that have had great success, and I've had some that were learning experiences. But all in all, it's been a great journey. I wouldn't change it for the world. There are some things that I would change about it, but starting off as an entrepreneur has helped me to be able to create a great lifestyle for our family and to be able to help other people in the process as well.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome.
What inspired you to write this book?
So I've written 2 books. I'll tell you, this book, which has been published first, is the Small Business Survival Guide. I actually published this at the end of 2020. And the reason that I published this book, guys, is because I was talking to a lady who helps businesses with financing and their business credit and things like that we have here in the US. And she was telling me that so many small businesses were going out of business because of COVID. And I was like, they don't have to go out of business. We can help them. And she said, it's too late. Like, they don't know where to go to get the help. And so literally I went to bed that night and I thought, there is a way, like I have information that I can help people not go out of business. And that's where this book came from, the Small Business Survival Guide. Like, I woke up the next morning and thought, I have to do this. And so this is a book that I give away for free. You can find this on my website at josevie.com, www.josevie.com. And that's just a free giveaway. It's just something for people who are in business, who are struggling, who are frustrated, who feel alone, to know that there are things that you can do to help your business to succeed. So that's the reason I wrote this book. Now, the book that I'm excited about is my upcoming book, Thrive and Be Somebody, which is this book right here.
Wow.
And that book actually really comes from my heart. It's a book. I've had a lot of ups and downs in my life, like so many of your listeners. And that book is a legacy that I want to leave for not just my children and my grandchildren, but for everyone's children and everyone who is still a child all over the world. It's never too late to start fresh. And so sometimes all we need, life has a tendency of beating us down. And so all we do, we just try to survive sometimes. You know, we operate in survival mode because there's so many things that are harsh that happen to us in life. And so I wrote the book Thrive and Be Somebody because I think it's important for people to do more than just surviving. So that's the background behind that book.
Wonderful.
What are your top 3 priorities in life?
I would say my number 1 priority is my relationship with God. That's important to me. I feel like that is what it keeps me grounded. It's what gives me confidence. So that's my number 1 thing. The second thing is family. Family is super important to me. That's a priority. Making sure that I have time for my family. My husband right now is my family that I live with. We have 6 grown children. We have 6 grandchildren and 1 on the way. I'm so excited about that. I also pulled my aunt out of the nursing home and we take care of her here in our home. And family is important to me because that's your original support group. And so, you know, I think it's just important if we have a happy, think about if every family was a happy family all over the world, what would that look like? If everybody had a happy family life, wouldn't that just change the way the world is just a little bit? And so I think that's a huge priority. My third priority is impact. What kind of impact can I personally have on even just one person? You know, the Bible says there's more happiness in giving than in receiving. I'm a Bible reader, obviously. And so I believe that impact is important. There are people who have impacted me and I don't even know if they know it. Sometimes it can be just one small sentence. Sometimes it can be just an act that someone does in your behalf and it can change a person's life. And so those, I would say, are the 3 things that are the absolute most important for me.
Excellent.
Wonderful.
What are the habits that led to your success?
That's a good question. I had to really think about that. You know, oftentimes I was told that I was stubborn. I take that stubbornness and I call it persistence. My daughter is the same way. People tell her, she was telling me, Mom, people keep telling me I'm stubborn. And I said, it's not that you're stubborn. It's just that you're persistent. And persistence is key in getting from point A to Z. If you want to go from here to here, you know, you don't always know what obstacles are in the way. But if you hold on to that goal, if you can focus on your goal, if you can be stubborn, if you can be persistent, and no matter how much time, energy, or effort it takes you, if it's still your goal, then you can reach it. And so I would say that's probably one of the top things that has gotten me success. And the other thing that I think is huge is integrity. You know, I believe, I don't believe in karma, so to speak, but I do believe that whatever a person plants, whatever a person sows, is what they will also reap. So, you know, if you plant apple seeds, you're going to get apple trees. If you plant goodness, the goodness is what you're going to get. And so, you know, I'm a firm believer in integrity. You have to just operate and treat people the way you want to be treated. And did you ask me for another one? Did you say 3 or 2 or 1? I can't remember.
Yes, it's very, very important what you say. Do you know that we tend to become those we admire, who we admire? Who do I admire the most?
So I would have to say that my very first mentor was my grandfather. I call him Pawpaw. He was the bishop of a Pentecostal church. And I grew up listening to him and watching him. And he was one of the, you know, sometimes people say things, but then they do other things. I actually watched him practice what he preached. I can remember, you know, nowadays we see people on the side of the road and they're holding up signs, "We'll work for food," or whatever it is. And, you know, there's people who go, they make too much money already, or they don't really need food. Well, my pawpaw was a person who didn't think about that. You know, he thought about why would somebody do that? Like, why would they, there's a reason why somebody's doing that instead of doing something else. And so instead of feeling like, well, if I do this, I'm being gullible or people are going to take advantage of me, he would go outside of himself. He would stop. He would say, hey, would you like me to take you to eat? He'd literally have people, strangers in his car. He'd take them to go get some food. He'd pay for their food and then he'd send them back, give them some money. And, it was just things like that. He was constantly a helper of others. And he was a person who really walked the walk. He actually lived what he preached. And so I would say that was definitely, that was my first example of somebody who I saw doing good, making an impact, putting family first, and still having his relationship with God intact. It was first and foremost in his life. So I received my values from him.
Brilliant.
Awesome. What keeps you awake at night?
So many things. So first of all, I would have to say my husband's snoring is what really keeps me awake at night. I'm like, ah! Otherwise, I'm a pretty good sleeper, but there are times, I think just like anybody else, I have a tendency to be a perfectionist. I'm actually a recovering perfectionist. So just getting things right, just making sure that the company that I'm working for, anything that's broken is fixed, making sure that we're giving excellent service to our clients, just making sure that we're giving back to the community. Sometimes it's just something simple as, oh, I was supposed to wash my dogs today. Thinking about my children and some of the things that they are going through and how can I help them, behind the scenes. My children are very self-sufficient. They don't really ever ask me for anything. And so they really just go through their lives. And sometimes they'll reach out and I can tell, but they don't really ever ask me for anything. When they do, I know they really, really, really need it. And so I just want to be able to assist them in their journey even more. Same with my grandchildren. So those are the things that, I don't know that it really keeps me up at night because I sleep really, really good. Like by the time, I work all day and all night. So by the time I hit the sack, I'm out, except when Ben's snoring.
Wonderful. What advice would give to someone starting out?
Keep going. If you want something bad enough, don't ever, ever, ever give up. Don't stop, no matter what. Keep going until you cannot go anymore, until you can just, that is the number one thing. It's, you look at all of the other successful people in the world throughout history, and what has been the one thing that has helped them to have success. They had the confidence to just go beyond what a normal person would do. That's the secret to success. And it's not the easiest thing to do, right? Like we all go, well, this isn't working, so I'm just going to do this. Like we all want to take the easy route. If this is not easy, we go, I'm just going to go over here and do the easy route. It's going to be hard. There's not a single successful person who hasn't had to deal with the hard things in life. Sometimes we look at people and we think, oh, wow, they're way over here. Their life is wonderful. Their life is perfect. And that's not the case. There's not a single person ever who's had a perfect, wonderful life. We can see this because even rich people commit suicide. People who we see, we look at them and think they have it all. And then all of a sudden they commit suicide. It tells you that they don't, and nobody does. And so the key is really just keep going. You will reach your goals. You will reach your dreams. You just can't quit.
Very, very impressive.
Yes. Josephine, what was something that you'd had to give up to get where you are today?
I had to give up a lot. I think I'm constantly giving up time, energy, and effort. I think being selfless is a key to impact. Remember I said impact was number 3 for me. And so I give up a lot. I work very, very hard, but I have learned later in life, half my life is already over, actually more than half, because I don't think I might not live over 100. So more than half my life is already over. And so this second part of my life, I've learned that yes, it's good to work hard, but I need to play hard as well. So I give up a lot. I give up a lot of my time, energy, and effort to help other people. I'm constantly giving. It's not something that is, I don't look at it as something, as a negative. I look at it as a privilege, to be able to work hard. So I spent about 2.5 years bedridden because I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia finally. My legs used to hurt from the time that I was a little kid. And as I got older, it got worse until it just was my whole body would hurt. And so I went to the doctor. I was on Vicodin, Tramadol, Flexeril, Oxycontin, Oxycodone. Like, they gave me every pain medication you can think of. If I had continued that route, I would probably be a drug addict right now. And I remember laying in bed thinking, I just don't want to live like this anymore. My children were teenagers. My husband and I owned a mortgage company, and I literally couldn't work anymore. I just would lay in bed. I'd call my secretary and tell her what to do, and they basically handled everything. And I just was bedridden. And I would remember just asking God just to let me die. I don't want to do this. This is not fun. And so I learned, I didn't die. So I figured, okay, I need to go another route because I can't keep living like this. And so I changed my entire life. I changed my health, what I ate. I changed the cookware that we cooked in. I changed the detergents that we used I changed everything. And that got me on the path to doing better. Well, once you've been bedridden, you realize what a privilege it is to be able to do anything, because I was at a point where I couldn't do anything and other people had to do for me. And so I vowed I'm never going to, I can't complain. I'm going to do all that I can do while I can do it, because it was not an epiphany. It was like a slap in the face that at any time, boom, you could be knocked out. You could be gone. Like, the life that we have is not promised to any of us. You don't know what could happen tomorrow. And so I'm glad that I did. It's what is the impetus, behind me working so hard, giving so much. I feel like it's a privilege for me to do that because I was in a position where I couldn't do any of that before.
Awesome.
Wow. What is the story behind your success?
I think that pretty much, I think I've said all of it. I don't have anything else to add. I do have one thing to add. I would say learning from failure. I failed a lot. People don't realize it. I've had some serious failures where, I remember when we lost our mortgage company, we were literally bawling. I went from sitting in my dining room, in my den on the floor with a designer, going through swatches and color swatches to build my own furniture, like to have somebody custom make my furniture. Like, that's an experience nobody goes through. But I was able to do that when we were at the height of our mortgage business. And then all of a sudden stuff like that, like we custom made our furniture. Who does that? I was able to customize our house. I had round cabinets. I had a Mila coffee machine built into the, wall in the kitchen. We had a 2-bedroom casita in the back. We had a 9,000 square foot house. Like, we built it from scratch. We did all of this. We had every car you could think of, Hummers, Porsches, all of that. And then 2007, 2008 came, and literally we went from balling to falling. We lost every single thing, and it was a crush. I've had so many failures, and that was a huge one. Even my kids, this was probably what hurt the most, was even our kids were like, you guys shouldn't have did this. You shouldn't have bought all this stuff. You should have just saved all your money, and you should have done this, and you should have done that. You shouldn't have taken us on cruises, and you shouldn't have done that. And I, you know, for a long time, I almost thought the same way they were thinking, that we shouldn't have done that. We should have just maybe put all of our money aside and just kept it. And just, then I thought about it. If I had done that, then they would have never experienced all of the things that they experienced. And there's nothing wrong with failure. And so you just learn from failing. And if you can get up and continue to just rebuild and to do better, I would say that is the secret to my success. That and having a team of supportive people around me. And I would say also my belief and faith in God, that no matter what happens, I'm going to be okay.
Wow, super.